don't see it on the chat, Mr. Jordan.
All right. Try it again.
Oh, Bobby, you sent that direct to me. There you go.
All right, yeah, I fixed it. Sorry about that.
Wonderful. No problem. Okay, well then why don't we start with that, and then we'll move to everything else on the agenda, including process. And hi, Anaya, good to see you. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, everyone. We're gonna begin our meeting. Meeting interpretation services are available via Zoom by clicking on the globe icon at the bottom of the screen.
Los servicios de interpretación para esta reunión están disponibles a través de Zoom al hacer clic en el icono del globo en la parte inferior de la pantalla. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Reina. And everybody, welcome to the Juan Crespi Renaming Committee meeting. Sorry, just want to make sure, Reina, are you ready?
Oh, sí. Bienvenidos a todos. Gracias a las familias, a las personas que están participando en esta junta de renombramiento de la escuela Juan Crespi.
Sorry, Reina, are you gonna be doing translation as we go, or are you gonna go
No.
into the...
As soon as we start the meeting, we are gonna, Mr. Jordan is gonna help us set it up. So it is gonna be simultaneous,
Okay.
and people will be able to hear me if they choose the button in Spanish interpretation. So you can speak and I will be able to translate in Spanish at the same time simultaneously, okay?
Oh, great.
I'm gonna press the button right now.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll wait for you to, so you can. Okay, wonderful. My name is Demetria Gonzalez Hoy. I am a trustee for Area 4. With me on our panel today is my wonderful colleague, trustee Jamila Smith-Foltz from Area 1, our wonderful new superintendent, which I need to stop saying new, now he's old, Dr. Chris Hurst, our wonderful Crespi principal, Guthrie Flashman, and our wonderful student representative from Crespi, Anaya Zinad. I hope I said your last name correctly, Anaya. Thank you for being here. And of course, for communication supporting us, Robert Jordan, and our wonderful interpreter, Reina Ortiz de Tavel. Okay, so as authorized by the governor's emergency executive order issued on March 17, 2020, the West Contra Costa Unified School District will conduct the Juan Crespi Renaming Committee meetings via video conference/teleconference until further notice. The meeting will stream via Zoom. Participation in board meetings, in the committee meeting. This meeting will provide public comment opportunities through the Zoom app or by telephone. To indicate your desire to speak on an agenda item, please raise your hand by clicking on the appropriate icon in the Zoom app or by pressing *9 if accessing the meeting by phone. In order to be recognized to speak, you must be logged in with your first and last name, and your hand must be raised before public comment begins for the item. Due to the Brown Act, board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda and do not usually respond to items presented in public comment. And Dr. Hurst, could you please do our roll call?
Absolutely. Trustee Gonzalez Hoy.
Present.
Ra, and Trustee Smith-Foltz.
Good evening, everyone. Present.
Awesome. All present and accounted for.
Thank you, Dr. Hurst.
Yes, sir.
So for our first item, we have our land acknowledgement. We recognize that we are presently on the lands of the Chochenyo, Muwekma, Karkin, Ohlone peoples and acknowledge them as the first inhabitants of the land we currently occupy. And I actually did this already. I did our introduction of our wonderful panelists. And I want to thank everybody who is joining the meeting. And hopefully we'll have a few more. Mr. Jordan, would you mind putting the agenda on the screen just so that I can go through it super quickly?
Yes, give me 1 second.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Jordan. If you wouldn't mind scrolling down to our items. Perfect. All right, so we are currently on approval of agenda. Trustee Smith Folds, we're gonna have a couple of changes on one of the items. Well, not changes, but just a modification. During discussion items, we're gonna go over the survey results from the Crespi community that they've been having for the last few weeks. Then we're gonna open it up for public comment for approximately an hour for anybody who would like to give feedback on our finalist names. And then for our action items, we're gonna be making a recommendation for the name. The change we're gonna do here is that we're actually gonna have a conversation about about what to do next. And we might not actually make a final recommendation today, and we're gonna discuss that. So if this is okay with you, if you wouldn't mind making a motion to approve the agenda with the slight change on 3A.
So moved.
Wonderful. I second that with no dissent. So approved. Learn that from you, Trustee Smith Folds. Okay. So we're going to move now to public comment. And for folks in the audience, this is public comment for items not on the agenda, which makes it a little bit confusing. So if there's any comments on other things that anyone would like to bring up to our committee, later we're going to have actually public comment on opinions on the names. And we're going to have plenty of time for anyone who would like to give their opinion. So for now, it's just comments on anything that would like to be brought up that is not on the agenda. Mr. Jordan, is there any public comment?
Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, there are no hands currently raised.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Okay, so we're gonna move to our first discussion item. Oh, and I'm so sorry. During introductions, I was supposed to give a little bit of a summary of why we are here. Please forgive me. I totally forgot. I apologize. Here we go. Sorry, everybody, just 1 second. So the name change for the school was requested by the Crespi school community, including students, staff, and leadership from its African-American Parent Advisory Committee and Parent Club. They were motivated by social justice movements during the pandemic and began examining the school's namesake. As part of the efforts, the school's history department designed a research project to investigate and research Juan Crespi, the California missions, and the impact on indigenous people. Students share their findings with what is named research projects. We want to acknowledge and share the work by the Crespi community, including how they made a committee consisting of students, staff, and families the last few months. They made a recommendation as part of the process to the Board of Education, which then triggered the creation of this committee. Our main purpose is looking for community involvement and input on the two names that are finalists in the process. One proposal on finalists is to rename the school after Betty Reed Soskin, who is currently 99 years old, the nationally acclaimed Rosie River Park Ranger, who is America's oldest ranger, as well as an author and civil rights activist in the US. A second proposal on finalists is to rename the school as the Chocheño Middle School in honor of the Ohlone tribe whose land the district currently inhabits. Okay, thank you, everybody. Sorry, I was supposed to do that at the beginning for folks who were not here at our last meeting. Okay, so I will pass it on to Mr. Fleischman, who's going to be giving us a presentation on the survey results from the survey the last few months.
Thank you. I don't actually have any slides or any visuals, but I do have the data from the survey that's been sent out. It was sent out to all the Crespi students. It was sent out to the principals of our feeder schools. It was sent out to our parents. And we tried to get a cross section of our school community to have all stakeholder groups represented. 119 people have filled out the survey. In total, 60 voted for Chocheño and 59 voted for Betty Reed Soskin. So in total, it is about as split down the middle as it could possibly be. Broken down by stakeholder groups, there were 3 community members. And so I defined a community member as somebody who is not a current student, not a current parent, or not a current educator. And within that, people were able to say, I am a community member and I am a retired teacher, or I'm a former parent in the district, or I just live within the district. So 3 community members filled out the survey, 2 for Chocheño, 1 for Betty Reed Soskin. For educators, there were 15 educators, some who are current Crespi educators, also some from our feeder schools. I believe there was 1 from De Anza High School as well. 11 of them said Betty Reed Soskin, 4 said Chocheño. For parents, there were 18, 13 of whom preferred Betty Reed Soskin, 5 preferred Chocheño. And for students, there were 83, overwhelming majority of which were current Crespi students, just a small number were from our feeder schools. And of the 83, 49 were for Chocheño and 34 were for Betty Reed Soskin. So it's about a 59% to 41% split of the 83 students who filled out the survey. All told, like I said, 119, 60 in favor of Chocheño Middle School and 59 in favor of Betty Reed Soskin Middle School.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Flashman. Trustee Smith Folds, if it's okay with you, why don't we do questions from us to Mr. Flashman on the survey, and of course also Dr. Hurst, and then we can open it up for public comment, and then if we have any comments on the survey itself. Is that okay with you? Wonderful. Then why don't you just get us started if you have any questions?
I think one of the questions, how many students are at Crespi total?
400 students right now,
Yeah.
right? It's right around, little, give or take, but it's right around 400.
Okay, and then,
So I don't know if this is where but this year has been one where getting survey results is 25% to 30% in most of the things we send out. It's not like a regular year with regard to getting that type of feedback.
so this survey falls in line with what typically happens that's been happening during this kind of pandemic.
Yeah, and I'd even say it's waned. We probably got higher percentages earlier in the year, and it's gotten increasingly more difficult to get input and feedback.
Okay, and then your feeder school principals, they sent it out to their kids, or what did they do?
I sent it out to all of them, and I didn't check in with each individual principal to see what they did with it once they had it. I think for some it went on like a Parents Club Facebook page. For some it went out on their email server. Like they each kind of probably had their own system, and I wasn't able to monitor that super closely.
Okay, thank you so much, Principal Flashman. I think, Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, I think that's all. The results were very interesting. It really is just a thin line between one versus the other. So I think that bodes to the fact that you had 2 very good choices. One didn't blow the other one out of the water. So Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, those are all of my questions for now.
Thank you, Trustee Smith Folds. Dr. Hurst, do you have any questions for Mr. Flashman?
Yeah, I was just wondering, Principal Flashman, what were the strategies you used in getting like the word out to the community? And I mean, it's probably pretty easy to get it out to the teachers through email, but what did you use to do for the community?
Specifically the survey, or just throughout the totality of the process?
Oh yeah, maybe you can talk about the totality of the process.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the answer is kind of the same for both.
Okay.
I do a Sunday message every Sunday that goes out as a phone call, accompanied by an email and a text message through our parent link system. So everything that we do, that we publicize, goes out through that. For the students, we had what's the word? I'm like homeroom this year, and we had a fantastic team of educators, three wonderful educators, Jason Lau, Kenitra Mitchell, and Adrian Loftus. Got to give credit where it's due, who every single week of this school year built a slide deck for all of the homeroom teachers in our school. They did it voluntarily. They just jumped into it at the start of the school year, and they did it every single week. So it was pretty amazing what they did. And within the last couple weeks, when the survey was generated, it went into the homeroom slides. So that's how the students gained access to it. Like you said, for staff, it went out on email. And then like I mentioned earlier, I had emailed it to the feeder school principals. We also, our parents club is building an active parents club Facebook page. I almost called it, I'm like you, Trustee Smith-Folds, it doesn't feel right anymore to call it the old name of the school, right? So we'll just say a parents club Facebook page. And they posted everything that I send out. They post to the Facebook page as well. And that Sunday message is a static link that never changes. And so once you have that link, you can check that link every single Sunday to get my message.
Awesome. Thanks so much. That's all I had, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Hurst. So Trustee Smith-Folds and I were talking the other day that, and this is a question I promised to all of you. We're talking the other day that we have been getting a lot of additional data, right? Emails, word of mouth, like people have been approaching me, not in the street right now, but in Zoom meetings and stuff like that around their preference for a name, right? So I want to make sure that we're taking everything in consideration, not just a single survey. So this question is actually for both of you, Mr. Flashman, and for Anaya, because obviously students also communicate with each other, sometimes more than they communicate directly with adults, right? So I would love to hear from both of you. What other feedback are you getting? And are you getting feedback directly about one specific name over another?
Anaya, would you like to go first?
No, you can go first.
Okay. So let's see. I heard that the latter part of the question is feedback around one versus the other, but what was the first part of your question? Can you repeat, please, Dimitri?
I'm sorry. Yeah. What additional feedback or modes of feedback have you gotten, and has it been directed towards one specific name over another? And it's hard to quantify this, right? Because you can't give me a number. I've gotten 100 emails and talked to 100 people, but through those conversations, do you feel like you have also gauged a specific name over another?
Certainly. So I mentioned this at the last meeting, but I just want to keep saying it because it's important to note, and it's important to just recognize, I think, where our community is. I've had 100% of the feedback that I've received around the process has been appreciative that we're moving away from the previous name of the school. I've yet to have a person say to me, "What are you doing? This is a terrible idea. Stop this right now." Not one. I did see one. There was an article posted on by the Richmond Standard on Facebook, and I saw one person who made a pretty kind of nasty remark on Facebook who didn't agree. And then there was one community member who spoke at our last meeting who was not in agreement. Other than that, I've had universally people in support of moving away from the name. Now, to one versus the other, I would say I've gotten a lot of conversations. I've had people coming to me face to face. I've had a few things on Facebook. I actually had a retired educator from the school who was at the school for I think about 25 years before they retired, who was very, very appreciative. Just today, just actually a few hours ago, a comment on Facebook, appreciative about the process, and mentioned what the school mascot used to be and the work that they did to move away from the conquistador mascot that the school used to have. So again, universally in support of making a change. The majority of people who I have spoken with, and like you said, it's hard to quantify, have been really enthusiastic around the name Betty Reed Soskin, for some of the reasons that we talked about previously. Do you want me to elaborate around like some of the reasons? I'm trying to keep my thumb off of the scale here and be, I don't know where the line is of appropriateness for me doing that. So I would say the majority that I've spoken with have leaned in that direction. And if you wanted reasons, let me know and I can give you those reasons that folks have given.
Okay, thank you. No, I think that's perfect.
Gonzalez Hoy,
Sure, go ahead.
before Anaya goes, Principal Fleischman, did you say the mascot used to be a conquistador?
It did. But to their credit, the educators of the school stepped up and changed that quite some time ago.
Just making sure my hearing is okay, you know, because I've been hearing different things. Okay, Anaya, I'm ready for you.
The Crespi Conquistadors at one point.
I had the same reaction in my head, Trustee Smith-Foltz, and I was like, wow, I need to talk to him later about that. So excited to know. Thank you, Mr. Fleischman. Anaya, do you have any thoughts around the same question? Have you heard from your friends and I want to say colleagues, but there's probably a better word for young people, but from other young people at your school and even parents around the name change and is it leaning towards a certain side or another?
No, not really. I just got a lot of appreciated comments about what I'm doing, and yeah, basically.
Thank you, Anaya. Okay, well, thank you. That was my only question. So why don't we move forward for public comment on this item? For people watching, it's public comment on the survey itself. We're gonna then move to public comment just on anyone's thoughts around the process or the names themselves. So this on the survey. Mr. Jordan, do you see any hands up?
There are no hands raised at the moment, Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jordan. So comments on the survey itself, Trustee Smith-Foltz, any comments?
I don't really have any comments on the survey. I think that one of the things that we just want to make sure that happens is that it's a wide net, you know what I mean, that's cast, because the key is to make sure that there's community involvement. And I think that Crespi, you guys have done a good job on that. So, but I think that if there's any room for any additional help, that, you know, we just stay open to that possibility. I do like the fact that the Crespi community seems to be very forward thinking with this, because you used to be the conquistadors and you are no longer the conquistadors. So I think that makes me feel good about that the community recognizes that names do mean something, and we do need to push for making sure that this is done in totality, not just the mascot, but the entire name needs to have an upheaval. So Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, those are all of my comments.
To be clear, also, Trustee Smith-Foltz, I just want to make sure I'm giving the story correctly. That name change away from conquistadors happened, I believe, 2 principals ago. So that was well before my time. And as far as I know, 10, 15 years ago or something like that.
I'm glad that it got done. I wish that when they changed the mascot, they would have changed the name too, but I take small victories as victories. You know what I mean? I'm glad that you're not currently, this group of kids is not coming saying we want to change from the Juan Crespi conquistadors. You know what I'm saying? They're just saying we need to change Juan Crespi. So a small movement is still movement. I think Principal Fleischman, that it's admirable that this group of kids has decided that enough is enough. You know what I mean? Like, we want to do a complete overhaul on what building we go into every single day for 180 days for years. So yeah, I'm very excited and proud of you guys. Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Trustee Smith-Foltz. Dr. Hurst, any comments from you about the survey?
No, I don't have any comments on the survey. I just, I guess I missed the opportunity just to ask this question. I was just kind of processing. I wanted to ask Principal Fleischman just about, is there anything else that you think that you could do to solicit more feedback from community members or students? Or do you see also any role that maybe we can help support you with in kind of reaching out? And I'm thinking kind of about Bobby and his team and also Rochelle as well. I guess I wanted to ask you, I mean, do you think you've exhausted like all possibilities in reaching out to everyone? Because when I listen to you talk about like your process, and the praise as well, it sounded like you've done a lot. So I just want to kind of explore that piece as well.
I mean, I fundamentally never want to say that we've done all that we can do in any scenario. I practically feel like given the current our current situation, I can't think of another strategy that we could have employed that would have gotten more survey respondents. I mean, there are things that we could have done. We could have done phone banking and things like that. We could have, gone to the elementary schools for their in-person and handed out flyers with QR codes and things like that. But everything is cost benefit analysis, right? That's all time and energy that would not have gone into like our in-person initiatives, right? So I think that given the work we were doing to open for springtime, given the work that we are currently doing to open for summer school, I think that we dedicated the appropriate and the maximum resources that we could without neglecting the day-to-day operations of the school site. I also think that now that we're on summer vacation, I think having anything that we do now to get a real significant number of respondents. Again, we have summer school going on at a lot of sites right now. We're starting our summer school on Monday. I don't see that there's a strategy that we could employ that would greatly increase the number of respondents at this point. Although, Bobby and the team are professionals in that particular realm. That's not my training. So there could be, I recognize that I could be missing something here, but as far as I can tell, I can't think of anything that we would do that would greatly impact the number of respondents that we have at this point.
Thank you, sir. That's good to hear, helpful to hear.
Thank you, Dr. Hurst, for that question. I was actually going to ask it in the next item, so I'm really glad that you asked it now. Okay, well, I don't have any. Okay, we all said we don't have any comments, and then we made comments on the survey. So I do have a comment. First, I just want to thank you, Mr. Flashman, because I think that you're all doing a million things at once. This is incredible work, which is why you're all focusing so much on it. And of course, focusing on other things. So I do want to start with that. I did think that the survey had a small turnout, but at the same time, that's why I asked the question about other modes of data that we have received and you have done, because I do think that you and your committee have probably done quite a bit of work on talking to students, talking to families, talking to community members the last 6 months, right? That you have really been looking at this work. So I would definitely want to take that in consideration. When if we send a recommendation today to the full board, they're going to ask us at the meeting, right, on the 23rd. The question one that Dr. Hurst just asked, right, about like, did we exhaust every mode of getting feedback? And then two, to Trustee Smith-Foltz and I, do you feel 100% confident that you got as much feedback as you could, right? And I did want to say that I am getting a lot of feedback in other ways, right? And to me has been really skewed towards one specific name in those ways, but it's only been like, I don't know, I can't even quantify it, right? Like whether it's 50, 100 people that have reached out, it's not obviously encompassed of the whole Crespi community. So I know we're going to go ahead to public comment and then to the next item, but I do want to hear your thoughts as we move to the next item, Mr. Flashman, on your recommendation on that. But I don't know if you have any thoughts now before we move to the public comment.
I actually do. You just
please.
Reminded me. You
Please
just reminded me of another piece of data that I have received. And granted, this is from 2 individual people, right? One does not speak for all Ohlone people, and one does not speak for an entire community. But as I mentioned before, I have been in communication with Mrs. Reed Soskin's family, and I have also been in communication with a tribal elder from the Ohlone Tribal Council and the Lisjon Tribal Council. In speaking with the tribal elder, and I don't mean to speak for her, but this is kind of what I received in our conversation, was that she was appreciative of the move away from Juan Crespi as a oh, there's the word, the word is escaping me, as a symbolic gesture, and that it matters and appreciative of it, but far more concerned with how we teach or currently don't teach Ohlone history. And the new name that would be chosen, I got the impression from her was almost an afterthought, but the strong commitment to wanting us to improve the ways that we teach, or the fact that we currently don't really teach Ohlone history. And we talked a little bit at our last meeting about the kind of token projects that we all did in elementary and middle school, right? So that was kind of the conversation that I had with her. Speaking, and again, I don't want to speak for Mrs. Reed Soskin or her family, but I certainly got the impression that the honor would be very much welcomed by her and by her family. And it sounded, Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, it sounded like you wanted me to kind of weigh in as well, my personal opinion. I am a firm believer in giving folks their flowers while they're here while they're still here to smell them, right? And I think that given the conversation I had with Miss Gould, who was from the tribal council, and I really want us to lean into that, how we teach. I'm a former history teacher, right? And I spent my whole time in the classroom trying to find alternative texts, right? Because we have gotten it wrong as an institution. And simultaneously, there are so few schools that are named after women, even fewer named after women of color, and even fewer named after Black women. And now, having read, I'm almost done, but I'm almost finished. I think I'll finish tonight or tomorrow. Mrs. Reed Soskin's book, Sign My Name to Freedom. If you haven't read it, pick it up. They have it at Marcus Books on 39th and Martin Luther King in Oakland. Probably also can get it over at Multicultural Children's Bookstore in Richmond. Fantastic book. I think that it would be very meaningful to have a person, particularly a woman, particularly a Black woman from our community, and the message that it would send to girls and women in our community. So that's my personal opinion from having those conversations with both of those two people, as well as conversations I've had with other folks, as well as trying to make my mama proud.
Thank you, Mr. Fleshman. I really did appreciate that. And I think that obviously also your personal opinion does mean a lot to Trustee Smith-Foltz and I, obviously, as the leader of the current leader of the school, right? So,
thank you.
And that was really helpful. Okay, so
one of the leaders of the school.
One of the leaders. Thank you.
We have distributed leadership at our
That's
school.
right.
It's very powerful.
Thank you. Thank you for that correction. I agree. So why don't we move to public comment? And this is now the time for anyone who's listening that can raise their hand and be able to provide public comment on the whole discussion. And then I do see an incredible individual that we'll keep talking about, Ms. Soskin, on the audience. If she would also like to raise her hand at the end, I would be more than happy to if Trustee Smith-Foltz agrees, to give her as much time as she would like to share her thoughts about obviously possibly renaming a school after her, as we consider to make a recommendation to the full board. But Mr. Fleshman, I did see your hand trying to catch my attention. Yeah. So before we open it up to public comment, go ahead, and then we'll open it up for
I just was going to ask if Anaya gets a chance to speak her piece as well.
Absolutely, Anaya, we'll add you to the list. I apologize for not doing that. Why don't we go to Anaya first, and then we'll open it up for public comment after that, Mr. Jordan. Go ahead, Anaya, you can start us up.
Well, for me, I don't really care what name we pick, but I do prefer Betty Reed Soskin, because she would be a role model young teachers like us to look up She's very hardworking, and she's a hardworking woman, and she accomplished her dreams, and she is still. She multi singer, activist, and a parker, and she was the oldest African American national park ranger in the United States at age 99, and she spoke to crowds about slavery. So yeah, I definitely prefer Betty Reed Soskin, and yeah.
Thank you so much, Anaya. I really appreciate it. And Mr. Jordan, you're welcome to open us up for public comment.
Currently, I just see one hand raised. Hang on one second. Let me switch screens here. Miss Misha Harris Gash, if you can unmute.
That's Maisha. Good effort, though. I really appreciate that.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. It's okay. You were close. You were in the ballpark. And so I want to say to Miss Anaya first, I hope I said your name right, that I appreciate. I said this the last time when you gave your presentation of what you and your classmates did, that it was wonderful. And so I just want to continue to applaud you for the work that you and your classmates did in the presentation that you gave at the previous board meeting. I want to say to Principal Fleischman, great support. I know it wasn't just you, but your staff that supported the students and what they did as well. I will tell you, as someone who matriculated through the district from K through 12, that I didn't even know about Rosie the Riveter until I was a grown woman, married in North Carolina, taking a U.S. history class. And I was like, wait a minute, Richmond Shipyard, that's where I grew up. So I'm guessing that maybe we do better in the elementary grades at educating our young people. Also, much love and respect to the Ohlone people as well. And whatever decision that your school community makes, you know, great and wonderful. My one suggestion, I don't know if there's like a timeline on this thing, but maybe could it be like you go into the fall, do your presentation again, because we'll be in person to get more feedback. That would just be like a suggestion I have, not unless there's some type of a timeline that goes along with this. But other than that, once again, young lady, Miss Anaya, wonderful, keep it up. You are a rising star. And Mr. Fleischman, Principal Fleischman, like I said, continued success and congratulations to your staff as well.
Thank you, Ms. Gash. And Mr. Jordan, I do see Ms. Reed Soskins has her hand up. So if you wouldn't mind bringing her up as a panelist, if it's okay, or allowing her to unmute, and the floor is all hers.
Yes, Trustee Gonzalez Hoy, I've added Ms. Betty Reed Soskin as a panelist. Ms. Betty Reed Soskin, if you want to unmute.
Hello, I
Good
am
evening.
so pleased, and I would be honored to be asked. I can't imagine a better way, but no matter how you end up, I'll at least consider that this was a wonderful, wonderful period in my life. Thank you.
When's your birthday?
My birthday is September 22nd.
How old will you be?
And I will be 100. Thank you.
Ms. Soskin, thank you so much for honoring us for being here. I would be remiss if I didn't say that we're all huge fans of yours in so many ways. As you may have heard, our new superintendent, Dr. Hurst, started a few weeks ago. And as I met him, one of the gifts I gave him as he started was your book. So we're all huge fans here, and just appreciate all the work you have done over the years, and just everything you are. So Trustee Smith-Folds, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to also share before I move us on, but we did want to say thank you for being here and for allowing us to consider your name.
I just want to say thank you. You know, I took a picture because I'm I'm so humbled to be in the presence of someone who is almost 100 years old, and who a Black woman who has from 1921 to 2021 has walked the path that you walked. And I can't say thank you enough for everything that you have done to bring everyone with you to this point. So from one Black woman to another, I just want to say thank you. And I am never at a loss for words, but Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, there are moments in your life that are markers, and this is a marker for me. To be in the presence of Ms. Soskin is a marker for someone. To be in the presence of someone who's 100 years old, I can only pray that I will be able to be around to be 100 years old and to leave a mark and a legacy as Ms. Soskin has left. And not only this community, but all communities, not only for some women, but for not only for Black women, but for all women, not only for women, but for men. So my hat's off to you, and I really do appreciate everything that you have done. So Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, you know, even when I don't have words, I have some, but thank you so much, and I much appreciate it.
Thank you, Trustee Smith-Folds. And that is her without words. So absolutely. So again, thank you for being here, Ms. Hoskin. So why don't we move on to the biggest part of tonight, which is our decision. Why don't we first do comments and a quick discussion between everybody on the panel, and then we can move forward to a motion, right? Which I'll ask of you, Trustee Smith-Folds, once we're ready. So why don't we open up for some comments? Trustee Smith-Folds, would you like to start us out with some comments? Then we'll pass it on to Dr. Hurst. And then I will go, and after that we can do we can decide what to do next.
So Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, is this where we get to say our preference?
This is it. This is finally it. Yes.
So my preference is based on everything that I've heard from Principal Fleischman, based on everything I've heard from the community, based on being the mother of 3 Black daughters, being a Black woman myself, and being able to have this opportunity to plant a seed and leave a mark, I resoundingly say that I would love the name to be Betty Reed Soskin. And Principal Fleischman, one of the things that pushed me over the edge is because I think that we're doing a both and. If we can have a conversation around changing curriculum, because I'm a history teacher also, history and English. So if we can have a conversation around changing that curriculum to where it is actually a representation of what we really want students to know, and we can, words matter, and we can have these students walking into Betty Reed Soskin Middle School every single day, I think that we really have the opportunity to do both and. And if we can always have a both and outcome, then I think we're winning. There is no loser in this. There's only adding and winning. And I agree that we have to give flowers when people can smell them. I think that that was absolutely wonderfully put. And I also think that since we have the blessing from the Ohlone people saying, you know, this is great, but do this for us instead. I also think it's valuable to give people the gift that they ask for. So if they're asking for a different gift, give them the gift that they're asking for. So with all of that said, I say that my vote is for Miss Betty Reed Soskin Middle School.
Thank you so much, Trustee Smith-Folds. Dr. Hurst, any thoughts on anything about tonight before we make a decision moving forward?
Yeah, I would just add to what Trustee Smith-Folds said. I listened to what Principal Fleischman had said, and really the process was a really good process. He shared clearly that he's done everything. His community has done everything. His teachers have done everything to reach out. There's nothing more that he thinks that he could do. And even if it was to go into the summer, I mean, there's nothing more. We're not going to get any more feedback. I mean, you saw the survey results. You heard him. This is the feedback that he's getting as the principal. It was very clear. And even Anaya said her preference as well. So no doubt Betty Reed Soskins for me as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hurst. So I echo what the both of you have shared tonight, what everybody has shared tonight. I do think that the feedback that I got in other ways definitely leaned a lot more towards Betty Reed Soskin. And I did get emails, I got phone calls from city council members. I got even from city council members in other cities who were interested in what we were doing, and from some community folks as well. Just yesterday, I was in a Zoom meeting at work. This is a completely random story. A coworker that lives in El Sobrante, I not even know that. And he told me, he's like, I really hope you pick Betty Reed Soskin. And I was like, how do you even know that? And he's like, oh, I actually live there. So it was just serendipity, but I think it just speaks about the pride, right, from the community. And I think both names are excellent, right? And I agree with Trustee Smith-Folds. I think that there are other ways to honor the legacy of the Ohlone people. And Trustee Smith-Folds and I were talking about in the academic subcommittee, Dr. Hurst, actually agendizing how can we incorporate the history of Native American people and the Ohlone people specifically from this area into our teaching in our district moving forward. And I think that that's how we can honor the community who wants that name as well. But my preference for tonight as we move forward is to recommend Betty Reed Soskin as the name. I do think that it's really rare that we have the chance to honor someone from the actual community who has really changed the world in many different ways, especially for our kids in this community. So I cannot be more honored to stand here with you all tonight and really rip from the benefits of all the work Mr. Flashman and his team and Naya and the students did to make this happen, which is pretty amazing. I'm really happy that we've gotten to this point. So why don't we move? Actually, Dr. Hurst, do we need to have public comment for this item? I believe we do, huh?
Yes.
Okay. So why don't we open it up for public comment if there's any about what we just said. We're about to take a vote on our recommendation. So if there are any last thoughts from the public, you're welcome to share them now. Just raise your hand. And Mr. Jordan, whenever you're ready, if you see any hands, please begin.
Yes, we have one hand raised. Sorry, switching screen, sorry. Hopefully I will get it right this time. Miss Maisha Harris Gash, yes.
Oh, Mr. Jordan, that was good because we share the same middle name. I was like, long I, sir, long I. That was very.
Thank you.
Are you able to unmute?
Hello.
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you.
Okay, all right. So yes, you did wonderful. So two things. My great aunt, my Aunt Sydney, she lived to be 102 years old. She died 2 years ago and lived in North Richmond forever and a day. And definitely the thing around giving people their flowers while they are here. My Nana is still living. She is 85, and she's also the one who says, give me my flowers while I am still here. And like I shared, I didn't know about Rosie the Riveter growing up, coming through the district. And as a Black woman as well, working in the district, I teach at Kennedy. And granted, my Black students, my Latino students, I believe that Miss Betty is an example of how to persevere, how to survive, and how to thrive. And all of our young girls, regardless of what their ethnic background is, can learn a lesson, because especially those of us who are of color, we know there's a struggle. And so to see someone and to know someone and to have researched someone, Miss Anaya, that you see how she has persevered, because she's here now. So of course, I'm kind of saying what I would choose. Granted, I'm not part of the Crespi community, but this has just been a wonderful process to see and to hear about. And so like I said, I just continue to encourage you, Miss Anaya, whatever you do moving forward, that know that you have a voice and people will listen, not just hear your voice, but people will listen to your voice.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gash. Okay, so Trustee Smith-Folds, Do you have a motion for a recommendation for us to move forward to the full board?
I do, sir. I recommend that we bring back the name Betty Reed Soskin to the entire West Contra Costa Unified School District Board to name, oh, Trustee Gonzalez Hoy, I'm flustered. Okay,
To
I
adopt.
recommend, so yeah, for adoption, there you go. I move that we recommend Betty Reed Soskin Middle School for adoption to the whole board of WCC USD.
Thank you, Trustee Smith-Folds, and I gladly honor that motion. And just for the sake of us voting, what is your vote, Trustee Smith-Folds?
My vote is yes.
And my vote is yes as well. So first of all, congratulations to the Crespi community. There's still one more hurdle, right? We have to go through the full board still on the 23rd of June, where we're gonna be bringing the recommendation on behalf of the committee and the community to the full board. I would love to have both Anaya and yourself, Mr. Flashman, if possible there, so that you can join us. And I see Ms. Soskin right there. Good evening, Ms. Soskin. I'm not sure, Ms. Soskin, if you'd like to say a few words before we keep going.
You're on.
I didn't know that this was happening. My daughter told me that this was going to be on tonight and offered to sit down with me and watch. I didn't know if I wanted to see it because it just seemed to me that I'd be a fly on the wall and that you wouldn't know that I was there. But I can't help but be delighted with having a school named for me. That is absolutely, that's the one thing I would love to see happen. And that this might happen is just more than I can ever dream. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Ms. Soskin. I'm having a hard time speaking because it is such an honor to have you here and for your words. It really obviously means a lot to us. So thank you for even being here and for letting us consider your name. If you would like to join us on the 23rd, we are bringing the recommendation to our colleagues on the Board of Education who will be voting it through if everything works out. And then after that, we would of course love for you to join Mr. Fleshman and his amazing team and students as we make it official in the fall, right? With the whole Crespi community, it would of course be a huge honor.
I would love that.
That might be nice on the 21st on her birthday.
That sounds like a pretty good day to pick. Mr. Fleshman, we're gonna have to take note of that. Maybe that would be a great day to make it official.
We had talked about that, but we certainly wouldn't want, somebody's having their 100th birthday. They should be able to do whatever it is that they want to do. And if that's what you would like to do on your 100th birthday, then that will be the day that we hold that.
Thank you very much.
And since my mic is off, I'm going to take this opportunity. Mrs. Reed Soskin, I've been listening to your book on tape on Audible, which by the way, she read herself. So I've been hearing you tell your story for the past couple of days, and to be here speaking to you face to face. I'm like Trustee Smith-Folds, I'm rarely at a loss for words, but I am truly, truly honored to be speaking to you right now and can't wait to the day that we meet face to face. Don't know what to say right now. Thank you for being here and for being you and for all the fights. And for those that haven't read the book, and we talk about Rosie the Riveter, there's so much more to Mrs. Reed Soskin's story that I can't wait for our school to really learn. And the fight that she, the work that she did around fighting against redlining in Contra Costa County, and fighting for the way that, the illegal practices that she saw were happening to Black soldiers during World War II, to, let me stop. But I'm elated. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Diara, for facilitating this, and for taking my text messages and whatnot. Yeah, just thank you all. It's amazing.
Thank
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. And gosh, I have so many questions I would love to ask you, Ms. Hoskin. How was to meet President Obama? I'm still a fan of you being with him and all the things you've done. And anyways, we could probably spend all night with you, so we won't hold you up. But we have now made our recommendation, Dr. Hurst. I think it's going to make it on time for the agenda for the next meeting. Trustee Smith-Foltz, any last comments before we end our wonderful meeting?
I just, my mascara is running all over the place. Like my eye look like a raccoon because I'm crying. I can't with, this is just, Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, there have been very few wins in this job. Like, there's a lot of work, very few wins. This is a win. And I just want to say, Anaya, look at what you and your peers have done. Look at the power of your advocacy, the power of your voice, the power of seeing something wrong and not letting it stay wrong. That's huge. And I can only say that I am sitting in the midst of two very great young women. Ms. Soskin, very great, great woman, and Anaya, you are a great young woman. It's to be at the precipice of two bookends, you know what I mean? It's just amazing to me. Both of you have done amazing in your time on this planet. And I'm just, Anaya, I can't wait to see where you go. Ms. Soskin, I can't wait to read where you've been and where you continue to go. This is just, and Principal Fleischman, like, I mean, wins, you take them when you can get them. And this is a big win for the district. This is a big win for your community. This is a big win. This is a gene marker for you in your career as a principal. This is what it's all about. Taking kids and showing them the power of their voice and then stepping out of the way and letting them do it. This is true leadership, and you created leaders at Crespi. And I am just so amazed at what I'm seeing. And Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. Superintendent Hurst, thank you for being here during this time and this season. You and I have talked about for a long time now, this is the season that God has allowed us to make some real changes. And this is just one of many. And I just can't wait. I can't wait for my three little girls to meet you. I really can't wait for them to stand in your presence and realize that this is what 100 years on this planet looks like, because it hasn't been easy. Not for a Black woman in this country, it was not easy. So the fact that you have stood the test of time and made it through with the dignity and all the beauty that you have, I'm just, Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, I don't like to exercise, but I'm gonna exercise so I can make it to 100, because I need to work out. I'm gonna go hiking in the woods, whatever you did, Ms. Soskin, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna eat some tofu, whatever you guys do in California with the avocados, I'm gonna make it to 100, because I want to be able to be in the presence of greatness, and you are great. Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy, mute me, I'm done. I can't. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trustee Smith-Foltz. No, that was wonderful. Dr. Hurst, any last comments before we end our meeting?
No, just Ms. Betty Reed Soskins. I just want to say it's just an honor to be able to meet you face to face. I actually just took a picture of you, and I just wanted to keep it for my memories, and I sent it to the board members that's here right now as well. So it's just a great honor to be in your presence. Thank you.
And I'm going to leave now, so you can get back to your meeting.
Thank you so much, Ms. Soskin. See you soon, and we'll of course let you know what happens. Mr. Fleischman will follow up as well. Everyone else, thank you so much again. Public, thank you so much for coming. Dr. Fleischman, Mr. Fleischman. I make everybody doctors in my meetings, so now you're a doctor as well. And thank you for you and your team. And I echo everything Trustee Smith-Foltz said. And we're ending at 7:02. So I hope everyone has a wonderful night.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Night.
Good night. Guthrie, look at your baby. Hi, honey. Hi. Just as sweet as pie. Look, what's this baby's name?
Mia.
Well, my. Did you see my baby on screen too? It was hard. Come here. Hold on. I'm going to get her. Come here, Irish. And this is my baby. She